Hi guys. I'm just gonna wait a few more minutes to see if more people join. Should I just go ahead and start? I'm not sure how many people are supposed to come to this. I don't know if anyone is on like the committee who plans these or no. No? Okay, I'll just start. And it's recorded so we could share it. Have you guys, I know Clarice has obviously been before. Have either of you two been before to camp? No? Okay, yes. Okay. Um, so I haven't been before. So like I'm presenting. You guys could see my screen, right? Thumbs up. Okay. Um, so I'm presenting on Cabin Chat Empowerment and Intro to Programming. So if you guys have been before, so like feel free to like add anything because like obviously I haven't been before, so like I don't really know much about this. It's mostly just based on what I was like reading in the guides. So totally feel free to like join in. Um, Welcome to whoever just joined. Um, so yeah, we're just gonna start. One. Okay. So first, wait, hold on. Mm, okay. Whatever, we'll just do it like this. Okay, so first, we're gonna skip this actually. Okay, first, cabin chat. So, cabin chat is an experience at the end of the day, and it's pretty much like an opportunity for campers to share their days, um, like about their days at CASM or like personal stories. And having the ability to open up and share these stories, um, and have like others listen to them, and show empathy is very empowering for the campers. Um, like sharing is optional. Children could choose just to listen. Um, but I think we do like tend to encourage people to share if they feel comfortable. Um, Also, topics and questions remain light and fun during this time, typically. And it's not a time for the counselors to share anything too deep about them. It's mostly about the campers. Um, and we kind of let the campers guide the we'll like pose a question and then the campers can kind of guide the conversation based on how they're feeling. So my understanding, and if you've gone to camp before, like correct me if I'm wrong, again, like I'm doing this based on just like what's it's saying in the guide, is that the counselor kind of like poses a question and has the campers like get in a circle in the cabin or like sit on their bunks and then everyone kind of like goes around and shares. Is that correct? Okay. I'm getting a nod. So yes. So that's like basically what it is. Um, Here are some ideas that they gave us. So it's saying to start with like a little check-in with how they're feeling about the day. So I think these are some ways to do that. The one I've done before is like Bud Rose Thorn, but I think these are like more kid versions of that. So like high, low, buffalo, wow, pow, chow, favorite part of the day, one cool thing about yourself. And then here's some like lighter questions you could ask. So I'll just read a few. And they're split into like older, younger campers, and we'll like provide this for you the week of camp. So for an older camper, you could be like, if you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be? Um, like if you had three wishes, what would they be? Who's someone you admire and why? Who is someone you want to get to know better? So they're kind of like, I feel like pretty open-ended to let a lot of varying responses um happen. And then for younger campers, you could see, but like if you could have a superpower, what it would be, what's your favorite part of Kesem, what's your favorite ice cream flavor, kind of like the check-ins that we do at the beginning of the meetings during the year. So there's a bunch of these, and I was wondering if you guys, if a few people can put an idea in the chat, or like you guys could look at this and put one that you think that you would use um, in the chat, to see what we're liking. And feel free to come up with one as well. So I'll give you like 30 seconds to do that. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm seeing what activity are you most excited for, which is a great way, I feel like, to also see what the kids actually want to do, which is nice. If you could be an animal, what would it be? Perfect. Yeah, I feel like especially for like younger kids. Okay, great. Awesome. So all as I said, we will send this out before we actually start the week. But right now, these are just some ideas. Nice. Okay. Okay. And then a little bit of how to manage cabin chat. So in the guide, it has these points as how to like make sure it runs smoothly and make sure everyone feels heard. So I'm just gonna go through them quickly because I know everyone is short on time. So I'm gonna try to make this quick. But the first thing they say is to remember the goal. So remember why we are actually doing the cabin chat and the purpose of it. Make it comfortable, make sure kids feel safe and make sure they feel like they can share. It's a group where everyone's listening to each other and one person is speaking while the other people are listening. Um, let the time constraints be known. So this is basically to prevent kids from talking for like 5 minutes, because I'm sure there will be some kids who just want to share, 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 which is great, but we want to make sure we get to everyone. So in the guide, it recommended, I think, about 1 to 2 minutes per kid. So you just let that be known before we start so that kids don't feel like cut off. And you could warn them as they're speaking, like, oh, you have like 30 more seconds to speak, and then we're gonna wrap it up. So, and then use a talking prop, which is like could be anything, but basically the kid who's holding it gets to talk. Um, Role model. So this, I believe, was just you kind of demonstrate what should be done. Um, Acknowledge sharing. So that's pretty much like validating what kids say. Or you could do like the snapping. I think that's like a really good idea. Like after every kid share, you snap. So it's kind of like saying, oh, we see you, we hear you, without having everyone having to like speak. Or you as the counselor can also be like comment on it in some way. Um, Also silence is okay. It's okay if a kid doesn't want to share. It's okay if there's like a silent moment. I feel like that can be really uncomfortable sometimes, but I think it's, especially if kids share something a little more emotional, I think that's kind of nice to give it that space. Um, Also, they reminded us that all kids show emotion differently. So, like, some kids that's like giggling, some kids that's like crying. So just don't be um surprised if there's like a wide range of reactions. And I think this will come up more when I talk about empowerment, but yeah, keep things positive. So from my understanding, is cabin chat is supposed to be a bit more like positive and lighthearted, and then empowerment, which I'll get to, is a little more deep and emotional. So as you saw with the questions, like some of them kind of suggest an answer that could be a little more deep, but a lot of them, especially for the younger children, are a little more light and fun. And they recommend to try to end on a positive note, especially because I believe we do this right before bed. So you kind of want your kids to not go to bed like crying and upset. Um, and then reach out for help if you need it, is another tip. Always feel free to like reach out to, especially someone who's done cabin chat before, I imagine is a great resource. Um, okay, and then let me I have a little chart with all of this. Hold on though. Okay. So here is what I just said, but a little bit more in depth. Um, so I just wanted to go over, especially the acknowledge sharing. So you could say something like, thank you for sharing. That was very brave. Thank you for sharing that with the group, doing the snaps. Yeah. And let's see. Yeah, so make sure you end things on a positive note. And oh yeah, okay. So for also to get help if you need it, if the camper brings up something like inappropriate or intense, keep the sharing moving. Like don't stop and like super hyper focus on it, but then take the time afterwards to like follow up with them if needed and with anyone who's like a higher up, like a director or a camp advisor or something. So yeah, that's kind of like cabin chat. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask or put them in the chat. Um, I have this little just reminder. I know I just went over it, but if you guys want to put in the chat, um, of a way you will demonstrate one of these things. So you could be like, I will acknowledge sharing by blah blah blah. Or the talking prop I plan to use is blank. So if everyone could just in the chat pick one of these and say a little sentence about how they're gonna use it or how they if they have any idea of how they're gonna do it during cabin chat. And if you have a general question, feel free to share too. So I'll give you like 30 seconds to do that. Okay, perfect. Yes, I will acknowledge sharing by thanking campers after they talk. Exactly. Make it comfortable. Start with an icebreaker. That's a great idea. Um, Offer either everyone gets a circle or doing from the bunk. Exactly. Exactly. Perfect. Thanks, guys. Keep things positive. Encourage good language. Exactly. Great. Okay. We're we're like halfway through, guys. Okay. So now we're going to talk about empowerment, which is another thing that I have never done, but sounds very cool. So again, if you've done it, feel free to chime in at any point because I have never, but so I'm going to go a lot based off of what they told me, but it seems really cool and powerful. So pretty much the empowerment program is the chance for the campers to go a little bit deeper. As we know, these are children whose parents either have cancer or had cancer. So it's a very like heavy topic for a lot of kids. So it's all about celebrating and empowering the campers, and where we acknowledge why they're there, um, and kind of reinforce this sense of support and this community that we've been building the whole week. So it will be more towards the end of the week. Um, and yeah, so the empowerment overview. So first will kind of be in an introductory speech, and from one of us. And then we will do a mood setting. So that will be like a small activity, kind of like an icebreaker, but a little bit more deep. Um, so here's some options. We'll tell you closer to the day what we're actually gonna do. So it'll be one of these. Um, and yeah, kind of like to get everyone in this like mindset that we're gonna go a little deeper and we're gonna respect respect everyone who's sharing and all this stuff. Then we'll actually get into the sharing. And so one selected counselor is going to share first and set the tone. I believe we try to get someone who's like been to camp before, especially if they've been as a child. I'm not sure who's going to do it this year, but we will discuss that. Um, then they suggest having them do a little activity. I'm not sure if we normally do this or not, but they suggested having them draw a real life hero or a picture of what Kesem means to them after the sharing. And then we go into the sharing of the whole group. And so that's when we go around and each camper shares their experience. Again, I'm not entirely sure exactly how this works, but I think that everyone kind of goes around and shares their experience with their parent and cancer if they want. Again, like silence is okay during this. Um, and it's pretty powerful because everyone in the whole camp is sharing and listening to each other, um, and drawing on those shared experiences. Then after that pretty heavy moment, we'll do a warm and fuzzy activity. So I know we do the illuminary walk with the candles because we were ordering that. Um, and I believe we also have like little warm and fuzzies, which are like little pom-poms that we give out. So something kind of to like say, we see you, we hear you, we're gonna honor what you just said. And then there'll be a closing speech and debrief that kind of like wraps everything up. Um, and then following that is Empower Hour, which is kind of like a celebration after this like heavy topic. So um some ideas they had was like a dance party, a glow stick party, or some like fun stations. So again, as we get closer, we'll like decide on one. But yeah, that's kind of the empowerment overview. Um, I'm gonna give this time. Does anyone who's been to Empowerment before want to share something? You don't have to.
I can give you guys an overview of what we did last year. Also, Ladybug, if I mess up or forget anything, please let me know. Because it's kind of a blur, but yeah, I think this is like a really good overview, Gabe, what empowerment is and how it happens. It's like, of course, like our flagship service. Like, this is the reason why we're here. So it happens at the end of camp after we've formed relationships with the campers and the campers have like bonded within themselves. So like the first like 4 days are really critical for like building that and fostering that as counselors. And then on empowerment day, like I'll like run you through like what we did last year and this like maybe like probably what we do be doing this year or it like might loosely like change. But like we started it like we set the mood with music. I think that was really helpful. We like helped the kids like quiet down. We sat in like this like sort of like concentric circle that sort of wound around. And then we began with like having our paper bags. Like we had these paper bags that we're going to use for the luminary walk. So like the goal was to design your paper bag and then for the luminary walk after everything, you'd put a candle in it and then we'd have campers like walk down to the waterfront like through the bags that they made and then have a campfire. So for empowerment, we would have them like draw on the bag, like why I kiss them. And like that answer can look different for everyone. Like for the kids, it's probably because of their parents. It's probably because of their experiences, or like if they lost a parent, it's probably that's why they kiss them. But then the counselors too, like also have experiences. Um, with cancer, so like you can also take the time to write as much or as little as you want, or to draw anything that represents how you're feeling. And we sort of like use that like time to calm down and like know why we're here, like in this setting. And then from there, like we'll have the empowerment leader like start us off and like talk about like why they kiss them. And then what we did last year, which I really loved, was we had like a ball of yarn, and the empowerment leader would start with the ball of yarn, wrap it around their hand, like enough to like make a little bracelet, and then pass it on to the next person in the circle. And we sort of wound around like this to show how we're all connected. And then when you had the yarn, you had the opportunity to share why you kiss them, and why we're all here and how you're feeling. And there was like absolutely no pressure to share. Like you can, of course, like pass or skip. But that was like how like all the kids got to talk about like why we're here and stuff like that. And it was really powerful. And then at the end, we like took scissors, cut off your little piece of string, and then like I didn't take mine off for like a month. So it was really like it was really special. And then we did like our warm and fuzzy activity, which Timothy talked about. But basically, like I spent like 2 hours gluing like googly eyes onto pom poms, and then the warm and fuzzies are basically like, as you said, Gator, like to show, oh, I support you, I see you, I see like how brave you are for sharing and appreciate you. And like we're all part of the kissing community. So we all like give out the little warm and fuzzies to like your friends or your campers, and it's really cute. And then we'll have dinner, do the luminary walk through the candles, and we'll set up the bags with all the reasons why we kiss them. Um, yeah, have a campfire and have a dance party. It's really amazing. Like this is like the most special part of camp. So yeah, I hope I didn't mess up anything or forget anything, Ladybug. But that is sort of how we did it last year. We'll probably do something very similar this year. I'm really excited for you guys to go. So it's really special. But okay, you can go, Peter.
Great. Thank you so much, Clementine. That seems awesome. I'm sure we'll follow a very similar pattern because I love all of those ideas, especially the string. That seems amazing. So yeah, thank you so much. That was a great overview, and I feel like I could picture it a lot better now too. Um, so yeah, and then so just a few things to keep in mind. These are just some like little tidbits to remember. So make sure like we're gonna make sure everyone has the opportunity to share if they want. Um, they said to split the sharing by age group to keep it appropriate, but I don't think we do that because we're a smaller like a smaller chapter, so we can ignore that. Um, but you could correct me if I'm wrong, Clementine. Um, Also just remember like campers can step out anytime if needed, if it's like too heavy or emotional for them. We want to give them that space to take care of themselves. Um, they also recommend setting expectations the night before, just because it's going to be like a heavier topic and day. Also, crying is okay. I'm assuming like quite a few people cry just because it is pretty deep and emotional, and that's totally okay. Um, Also, they went into this piece that I thought was super interesting about how like sometimes kids might say something that's heavy and you might not know how to respond, especially if you as a counselor haven't had like an experience like that. Um, and just a reminder that that's like totally okay. In some situations, it could be most productive to just silently empathize, or have no response, but just make sure that you're being supportive and comforting to the camper. And I just think that's a good reminder because sometimes it could be hard to know what to say in these types of situations. Um, and then here are some more ways that you can respond when a camper says something like heavy to you. Um, and I thought these were really good, so I'm just going to go over them real quick and then we're almost done. So, approving and reassuring. So, basically like validating like that sounds hard or I'm proud of you, and basically kind of saying like validating that you've heard them. Um, Encouraging, So basically, this is another form of validation, but basically just showing that you've heard them. So I get that. I hear you. Tell me more. Open up the conversation. Um, and then open-ended questions. So, how do you feel about that? You could ask just more clarifying questions. And again, these are all ways just to make campers feel heard about especially like a heavier topic. But I mean, you could use these whenever campers speaking. But especially these heavier topics. Also, sometimes people talk a lot about open-ended questions, but sometimes closed-ended questions are needed. Like, do you do you feel safe right now, or are you okay? Like sometimes that is needed, and that's okay. Um, and especially if a kid's really upset, sometimes they could really only answer yes or no. So it just depends on the situation. Um, I really love this restatement one. For their example, it sounds like your mom is important to you. I feel like that is a great way to respond because even though it's just a statement, I feel like that really invites more conversation because they could be like, yeah, blah, 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 blah. And paraphrasing in the summarization kind of like demonstrates that you were listening and that you did hear what they say and you were paying attention, which is super important. Um, and then lastly, reflection of feelings. So you're feeling grief over your loss, and this is basically the restatement, but involving feelings. Um, Identifying feelings is like a super cool way for people to like calm down and just be more in touch with themselves. So I like to bring up feelings a lot when I'm working with kids. So this could be another great way. Okay. And then appropriate versus inappropriate counselor sharing. I kind of just threw this in because it seemed important. And again, I'm not sure exactly if Clementine, if you see any of these and want to comment on them, feel free. So based on the guide, it said that this is what's appropriate for counselors to share. So how much chasm has impacted them in a positive way. And this is during empowerment, um, how happy they are to know the campers, the fun memories, the fact that they also had a difficult time when they were younger, and how custom kind of like helped them, or just how custom now is a great opportunity for them to be around people or in general. And the fact that they also had a parent with cancer who has died of cancer, went through that. So that's all appropriate for counselors to share. What's inappropriate for counselors to share during empowerment is intense experiences with depression, suicidal thoughts, self-harm tendencies that they have. These are like things that I think are like super important to share if you need to, like with the other counselors and stuff. Like we could, maybe before camp starts, but not during the empowerment with the kids. Um, and then also they say do not share really detailed experiences about a known parent's cancer treatment. Um, and then not any past abuse or any past substance abuse, anything like that, should not be shared with the children. Okay. Oops. Okay. And then just a little question in the chat. Please answer the following question. So this is going back to the slides, 2 slides ago. What is one way to respond to a camper who has just shared a heavy piece of info or story about their life? And this was the little infographic that I showed you. So you could throw anything or everything about that, or anything you would do into the chat. And I'll give you like 30 seconds to do that. Yeah, exactly. So thank them for sharing that info. Tell them that you won't share with anyone else. Yeah, exactly. Restatement of feelings. Perfect. Acknowledging, restating what they said. Yes. Acknowledge what they said and offer support. Exactly. Thank you guys. So you guys got it. And we'll provide all these resources for you guys. Okay. And then actually, I'm going to skip this. Okay. So that concludes empowerment and cabin chat. And we're almost done. I'm not gonna go super in depth in programming. I actually think this would be more helpful at a later time to either hop on a Zoom or do it closer to camp, just because we're still hammering out the schedule. Um, and I felt like this would be too much to put into one huge long Zoom. So, just a quick thing about programming. It's like I said, we'll go very in depth later. But basically, I just wanted to highlight a little general stuff. So feel free to adapt activities when needed. I think this is a huge, huge thing that I feel like makes experiences for children way more positive. Um, if there's an activity and you're just like, this is not working for my kids, or, we're planning activities for kids that are pretty young to like almost teenagers. So there's going to be some variety in like what they can and can't do. So especially once you get to know your campers, I would totally, totally feel free to like adapt and change it up just like slightly if you feel like that would like help them have more fun. The goal of this is for the kids to like have fun and feel supported. So, I totally want to give you guys like liberty to do that as long as it's like safe and, whatever, doesn't impact the rest of the schedule. Um, a great way to do that is to like ask and communicate with your campers about if they feel comfortable and excited with the activity planned. Um, and if you have a child who like is struggling with the activities, that's another opportunity to kind of like adapt as needed. Because the goal is for this to be fun and enjoyable. And I just wanted to throw that out there as a general like reminder. And I think it makes it more fun as a counselor as well. Okay. And then you guys could look at these later if you want, but that is the end. Thank you guys so much. If anyone has any questions, they could stay on and ask, but otherwise, that's it for me. Thank you guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.